Good morning. Welcome to the Weather Desk. The last day of June. We are going to have a day that's closer to average today here in Hampton Roads. It's going to be getting really, really hot. That's been the big weather headline for the eastern half of the country, really. They're dealing with the heat in the Midwest and some of the western parts of the U.S., but it's coming to the East Coast as well. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller. You found us here on the Weather Desk where we tackle today's top weather headlines, and these are some of the headlines that we're going to be talking about. Again, heat and wildfire trouble out west. Big problems out there. We've been talking about the wildfires in Utah, other areas out west also dealing with wildfires. We'll have kind of a wrap up of that and some of the heat that is moving east this week. There are so many areas that are under extreme heat advisories and warnings coming up. We'll get into that as we go along. In addition, we've got an update on the earthquake recovery efforts around Venezuela. That continues to be just heartbreaking there, but we will give you the latest on that. Italy's Mount Etna getting a little more active, another eruption. We've got a little bit to talk about with that. In addition, the National 4th of July outlook and the week ahead for Hampton Roads. So those are some of the things we're going to be focusing on. We're going to start off with a look at the country and parts of the U.S. already dealing with this extreme heat, and it is going to continue to build as we get into the holiday weekend, while other regions are still battling devastating wildfires. Let's start off with ABC's Lionel Moise.
This morning, a life-threatening dome of heat is moving east, putting millions in danger this holiday week as the West battles deadly wildfires. Nearly 40 fires burning across 9 states. The Gold Mountain fire forcing evacuations in Colorado. Flames tearing through bone-dry brush. And in Utah,
half of it is burned and half of it is still beautiful.
The Cottonwood fire has destroyed much of the Eagle Point ski resort.
It's bad. It's like a war zone. 130 condos and cabins are gone, rubble to the ground. We're now learning about the 3 firefighters killed battling the Snyder fire along the Colorado-Utah border. They were from Michigan, Arizona, and Alabama, the first line-of-duty deaths for the newly formed U.S. Wildland Fire Service. They were trapped, and despite deploying emergency shelters, authorities say they could not survive the fast-moving flames. Officials sounding the alarm about the extreme conditions.
We keep talking about unprecedented, and we say it every year, and I don't believe in unprecedented anymore. Every year, it's getting worse and worse and worse.
In the Midwest, the feel-like temperature topping 100 degrees from Kansas City to Chicago.
Here in the Chicago area, local officials were sounding the alarm about the brutally hot temperatures. They're setting up cooling shelters and also using robocalls to alert some 31,000 vulnerable seniors to take precautions.
That extreme heat spreading east with more than 150 million Americans under heat alerts. Philadelphia, New York, and Boston expecting heat index readings of 100 degrees or more for several days. Ahead of July 4th, many communities across the West are banning fireworks because of the fire threat, while first responders from D.C. to New York prepare for a surge in heat-related illnesses during holiday festivities. Lionel Moise, ABC News, New York.
All right, we're going to take a look at the national picture. We also have severe weather threats across parts of the country. You can see there's a thunderstorm watch out this morning for southern Minnesota into western Wisconsin. We've seen some big storms erupting. No warnings right at the moment, but that is an area we'll continue to monitor. Notice that there is a level 3 or an enhanced risk of severe storms over western parts of Kansas, several areas extending from Nebraska down through the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas. Eastern Colorado under a slight risk there, level 2. Slight risk for Wisconsin into the UP of Michigan and the extreme northern part of the lower peninsula. And we also have a slight risk over for portions of New York State into Vermont. Just a marginal risk down across the deep south, parts of Mississippi, Alabama into western Georgia and the Florida panhandle, along with New Orleans, but they may see a few storms down that way as well. What about the specific threats? Well, you can see strong winds. That's the biggest concern here across western Kansas. Also, you have that elevated wind risk, Wisconsin into Michigan and back over to New York State and Vermont. Hail risk, a little bit higher there for the UP of Michigan. Most areas see a slightly elevated risk. It's not too bad. As far as the tornadic risk, even though you have that level 3 threat in Kansas, it's not really for tornadoes. Gusty winds, damaging winds, that'll be a problem in Kansas. But the tornado threat's really isolated to the northern areas, Wisconsin into the upper peninsula of Michigan, and then again, New York State into Vermont, northern New Hampshire, and portions of western Maine. So those are the areas worrying about a slight elevated risk of tornadoes today. And some of the towns here in New York, you can see Johnsburg up through Tupper Lake and back out, areas out towards Watertown and Boonville. And then into Vermont, you have Burlington over to Linden, Newport, Haverhill, some of the different communities there. All right, for tomorrow, there's a level 2 threat again, this north central U.S. What's going on? Remember this dome of high pressure, this thermal ridge we've been talking about, the sweltering heat that is going to build eastward? Well, on the edge of it, you've got a frontal boundary, and that's going to be the hot zone, not only today, but tomorrow. And guess what? As we look ahead to our Thursday, there's also severe weather potential out there. South Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa, southern Minnesota especially. But that same general area, that northern tier, cooler air farther north, warmer, really hot conditions here to the south and along the East Coast. So that's what we're looking at. Now, there's increased fire danger, and we talked a little bit about that in Moise's package that we just heard, Lionel Moise. You can see the fire danger is very high. Red flag warnings out for much of Colorado, eastern Utah down into Arizona and New Mexico, also a little bit of Wyoming into western portions of Nebraska. So that's how things are shaping up. Yesterday's highs, again, sweltering heat climbing all the way up to Minneapolis, Chicago. For those folks, you get into the 90s, that's really uncomfortable for them. We were actually at 79 degrees for a high in Norfolk. We had an onshore flow. We were cooler. Forecast highs today into the mid to upper 90s around Chicago. So getting hotter. Kansas City, Memphis, Oklahoma City, Dallas, a lot of heat. New Orleans, Atlanta, even D.C. and New York getting up into the low 90s. But I wanted to show you this. There's an extreme heat warning that's in place from Missouri and St. Louis back into Kansas City, Iowa, all of Illinois, much of Wisconsin, and the southern parts of Michigan, all of Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky. Really dangerous heat, extreme heat warnings up, and we're going to see more of those going into place over the coming days as this heat moves farther to the east. We'll see them going up eventually here in Hampton Roads and into North Carolina. A lot of heat on the way. We have declared a weather impact alert Thursday through Sunday. That's the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. For our area, feels like temperatures 100 to 110. Some areas will be higher than that, and I think most areas probably in that 105 to 110 range. You've got to find ways to beat the heat. No getting around that. Look at this temperature trend. Highs near 99. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, even Monday, mid to upper 90s. So it's going to be dangerously hot after our high today in the mid 80s. Get ready for that. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Coming up next, as temperatures tick up in Hampton Roads, we've heard from local doctors about what you can do to stay healthy in the heat. Welcome back to the Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller. You know, before the break, we told you Hampton Roads is bracing for what could be record high temperatures coming up this weekend. We're going to be really close. We're talking about heat index values over 100 degrees. I think many areas 105 to 110. Maybe even hotter in a couple of spots. Patrick Gray spoke with health experts about what this kind of weather can do to the body and what you can do to stay healthy.
Right now, the conditions outside feel pretty nice, but in just a few days, these same conditions can feel like more than 100 degrees. Health officials say knowing the warning signs of heat illness can help keep you out of the hospital.
With several days of dangerous heat expected through the holiday weekend, health experts say the body can quickly struggle to keep up.
And a lot of the functions that we do rely on us being hydrated. And if our bodies have to work really hard to keep us cool because the temperatures are super high, that can lead to dehydration.
And that's when the warning signs can begin to appear.
Pay attention to how your body's feeling. If you're feeling lightheaded, weak, dizzy, get inside.
Doctors say those symptoms are often associated with heat exhaustion, but heat stroke is a far more serious condition.
With heat exhaustion, that means their body temperature is below 104 degrees. So that means the person just overall feels unwell. They're having that headache, the fatigue. Heat stroke is when their temperature goes above 104 degrees.
When that happens, experts say it becomes a medical emergency.
If they're ever altered, that's a medical emergency. That's when you immediately need to cool their body down.
Children, older adults, and people with underlying heart or lung conditions are among those at the highest risk.
Best things you can do are stay informed, stay hydrated, and stay out of the sun during those peak hot hours.
Patrick Gray, 13 News Now.
All right, and I just want to run through again a few of these tips. You want to reduce or reschedule your outdoor activities that you have going on during the peak heating hours of the day this weekend. Wear light-colored, loose-fitting clothing. That's going to be important if you are outside. You don't want anything really restrictive. Certainly, those types of fabrics that can help your body cool a little bit, that could be a good thing as well. Drink plenty of water. It's so important. People celebrating the 4th, I know there'll be a lot of folks consuming beer and different types of alcohol. That's fine. Have a great time. But you've got to stay hydrated with water. Alcohol can actually lead to additional dehydration. So please be careful out there and find air conditioning. It's that simple. Take breaks from the heat as you are able. All right, we're going to talk about crews from Venezuela and what's going on down that way. In just a couple minutes, we've got the very latest as they are still searching for survivors 6 days after the country got hit with back-to-back earthquakes. Where the rescue efforts stand this morning. Good morning and welcome back to the Weather Desk. As I was looking at earthquake reports coming in this morning, not a lot of activity right now around the Caribbean. There have been a few very minor quakes around Puerto Rico and back over towards Hispaniola, really to the east of Hispaniola. But we do have just a few minor reports there. The good news down in Caracas and Venezuela, we are not getting any additional activity this morning. That's good because rescue crews are still searching for survivors there in Venezuela. The country got hit, of course, by those back-to-back major earthquakes 6 days ago, and the death toll stands now at more than 1,700 people. Thousands more are still missing. A new report from NASA also estimates more than 48,000 buildings were damaged based on satellite data. ABC's James Longman has a closer look at the damage.
This morning, rescue crews are racing to find survivors still trapped under the rubble almost 1 week after those devastating twin earthquakes struck Venezuela.
And it's hard to see because there's so much dust in the air from all the rubble, the smoke and the noise. Take a look at these buildings here. You can see they've basically just sunk into the ground. Yeah, I'm going with it now.
Teams from over 20 countries are working around the clock, dogs and drones, carefully navigating the collapsed buildings to find the missing.
Tell her to tuck her feet back in.
In hard-hit La Guaira, where nearly 200 buildings fully collapsed, a U.S. team rescued a 51-year-old woman trapped after a 10-hour effort. And in Carabayeda, the rescue of a 21-year-old man who was buried under the rubble for 106 hours. And overnight, we met the youngest survivor.
Diana. Mucho gusto. James. Oh, my goodness me.
Diana managed to keep her 18-day-old son Juan David alive for 30 hours under the rubble. Rescuers managed to get water to Juan David by sliding a straw through a pipe down through the rubble.
Can you tell me, how did you stay alive? How did you keep him alive?
The one who gave me the strength not to fall into despair, she says, was my son. I kept saying, as long as he was alive, I was going to be alive. When the earthquake hit, their 8th-floor apartment fell out from beneath their feet. She had Juan David on her chest as the building fell around her. Dad Hansen rallied their neighbors to dig his family out.
You can see how moved he is because he really believes this was an act of God, but he's, I guess, struggling to understand why his family was saved and why so many thousands of people may have died.
Diana broke her leg and sustained other injuries, but Juan David doesn't have one scratch on him. She says the Bible saved them. But as rescue efforts enter their 6th day, the death toll is rising. Now more than 1,700 have been confirmed dead and more than 5,000 injured. And we're now learning Americans are among those killed. 3 in the earthquake and 12 are still missing.
Everyone we speak to here says it's either friends, family, volunteers who've been helping them or international rescue crews, not the government. This is a story about Venezuelans working it out for themselves. James Longman, ABC News, in La Guaira, Venezuela.
What a story of survival there. All right, we're going to take a look at the tropics, and fortunately, there's really not much going on right now. Sea surface temperatures very warm in the Gulf, down across the Caribbean and off the southeast, really across the main development region as well. We had all that Saharan dust for a long time, plumes of it coming off of the coast of Africa and kind of keeping things down. We really don't have much development right now. We still have that one area with about a 10% chance of development over the coming days, but it just doesn't look like it's doing much. And even if it does develop, we've got high pressure building in. It's not a threat to us at this point, so things are looking pretty good across the Atlantic basin. We turn our attention now over to Italy and specifically the Sicily region there. You go to the island of Sicily, and there we have Mount Etna. It is erupting again. Check it out. This is a look at lava flowing from the volcano last night. Etna is located again on the eastern coast of Sicily and is Europe's largest and most active volcano. It has erupted on and off for centuries and typically records episodes a few times per year. Still beautiful to see and just amazing to watch nature do its thing. All right, we're going to take a live look outside. It's another beautiful day across Hampton Roads. We've got more sunshine today. Temperatures a little warmer, but still below average. When we come back, I'm going to talk about those temperatures soaring up as we head into the weekend. I'll have your 4th of July weekend outlook across the nation as well. Welcome back to the Weather Desk. All right, our 4th of July here is going to be sweltering. We have a weather impact alert for those high temperatures. Upper 90s, close to 100. The feels like temperatures 105 to 110 Friday, Saturday, and into Sunday. You'll notice this thunderstorm symbol here on Sunday, and you see the 20%. I think that's very, very isolated. I don't think it's going to be a problem on the 4th. I do think later Sunday, and the reason I put that thunderstorm symbol on, by Sunday night, the chances going up more like 40%, and then into Monday, some scattered showers and storms. So again, most of the day on Sunday is going to be okay, but Sunday night is when we might see some stuff starting to pop up. Let's take a look at some other places across the country. We'll start off East Coast on the 4th. Hot up through Boston. We might see some showers and storms up that way. Also Cleveland, Orlando, Atlanta, all could see a little bit of unsettled weather. Lots of heat through the central U.S., south central parts of the country, St. Louis through Little Rock, Memphis, Oklahoma City, Dallas, Houston, all very, very hot. Chicago getting a little bit of relief there. I think we're going to see temperatures sweltering around Vegas and Phoenix, Salt Lake City, 94, 92 in Denver. Billings, sunny and 88. It will be cooler on the West Coast. How about Sunday? Well, Sunday, temperatures still really hot, mid-90s for Raleigh, but you'll notice New York City a little cooler along with Boston, that cooler air starting to come in, a sign of things to come as we get into next week. At least a little step down with the heat backing off a bit. Still hot in the central U.S. and out west, things still very hot. Phoenix, Vegas, Salt Lake City, 97. Super hot up there. Temperatures still cooler right along the coast. Here's yesterday. 79 was the high. 89 is normal. So while we were 10 degrees below average yesterday, we're going to be 10 degrees above average as we get into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Really no good chances for rain anytime soon. We have skies that are clearing today. Temperatures are going to warm up mid-80s in general. We'll see temperatures a little cooler at the beaches and then upper 80s to near 90 farther inland. Overnight tonight and into tomorrow, we're back around 69, maybe 70 degrees for morning temperatures, mid-60s inland. It will heat up tomorrow. Upper 80s to low 90s tomorrow, and then the big jump in temperatures. Look at this, into the mid to upper 90s for Thursday as we get things going. At the ocean front, those waves coming in. Beachgoers turning out. The UV index very high. We have east-northeast winds at 7 miles per hour. There's a moderate threat of rip currents out there as well. So we just want folks to be very careful. That was a Thompson Creek Window Company Skyview. Water temperature now 75 degrees. Out on the water, the waves and the wind action not too great. We'll see generally the waves 1 to 2 feet in the bay. The sea's about 3 feet and the winds generally light. So temperatures today, again, ranging across the region. Cooler at the coast, warmer inland. A beautiful day today. Take advantage of it. You know that warm weather is going to build. It starts tomorrow and really gets dangerously hot as we head through the weekend. A reminder, we have our weather impact alert. Continue to check back with 13 News Now as we will have more and more updates for you as we get closer to the weekend. Remember, the best way to stay in touch is with the 13 News Now mobile app. Scan that QR code on the screen. Download the app. It is absolutely free and chock full of great information. Hopefully you enjoyed this edition of the Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller. Stay cool. We'll see you next time.